actually a scan of real pencils. I have a new layer called digital inks, and I put this layer on multiply. I actually recommend that you choose not necessarily 100% black, but just go just a bit into a gray tone. You can always go black, but I prefer and have seen that it just looks a little bit better. But you can, on the final output, you can always go 100% black, especially for printing purposes. But for the web, I like using a dark gray. That's really, really close to black. So what I'm going to do is switch to my brushes, and I want to show you what these brushes will do. This is the smallest one that I made that gives you really thin lines, and I just picked some piece of artwork that I've done actually for Team 14 that was part of the cover. So what I'm going to do is start inking this, and what I want to show you is that it really looks like inks. It really helps when you use digital inks with a good variety of brush settings, because you want to be able to get the pulls. Especially the pulls are what really gives you the thin edges. So I'm just going to do a couple blackouts. Okay, I'm going to go in and black some of these areas. So what I want to do is kind of do almost like when you do your fill-in. Okay, so I'm going to go in and select some of these areas just like I would do using a Hunt 102. And now I want to come out of these by using these thin brushes. Okay, that gives me a really, really nice look when I pull out. I'm going to use it here again and pull very carefully. And it also really depends how much you've been using the Wacom tablet, because it really, really helps if you have already used the tablet, or especially if you're using the Cintiq. The Cintiq is much better because you're doing this directly on the surface of the screen, and it looks so much better and it feels really great. But I am using a Wacom right now, and I kind of prefer the Wacom because it really feels like I'm drawing on paper. It's sometimes hard for me to focus when I'm doing this on the Cintiq, but I also do enjoy doing some of the stuff on the Cintiq. So what I want to show you is different type of brush strokes, different type of techniques. So I'm just going to continue inking this so you can really see the detail that the brush leaves. And I'm making stuff up, I'm not necessarily following my pencil lines, but I just want to be able to just really freestyle, use the pencils as a guide so I can show you how it basically works on top of these pencils as a digital brush. Okay, so the control is obviously going to come from, again, your experience using the Wacom. But it's really cool making these thin and thick lines and adding to it, so it really looks like a digital ink brush. It really gives you these little thin lines, and as I'm flicking, it goes from thin to thick. So I'm going to select a little bigger brush to show you. This is the same brush that is actually the thicker version. So if I do it really light, it gives me lighter lines, and as I go really hard on it, it's giving me perfect sharp edges. And that's what really makes the brush look like kind of like these nibs. It's never going to look like the original Hunt 102. This is just for people that really want to do it digitally. I prefer to use the traditional tools. If I wanted to ink something, it's always nicer to go in and use the traditional tools. But if you want to do it fast, if you want to do it for a web comic, and you can't afford a high budget, if you're penciling yourself and you just can't pay the inkers, and you want to be able to do it yourself, you can definitely do it with these brushes. I'm selecting just a thicker brush even, and you can see it really comes out nicely. It's really thick. Okay, they're very fast. That's the one thing that is really important for the brushes to be fast. You'll find a lot of brushes on the internet that are free. Sometimes these brushes are way too big. Some people design them actually overkill, and it slows down the brush engine. but it's really important to use brushes that are really quick. So let's do a little bit more of this. I'm going to go in and show you that I'm constantly switching to a thinner brush if I need to do you know, thinner areas. In here, I'm going to black this out. Maybe add another line in here. I can see here I actually made some thick lines, and then this guy goes in, and I'm going to use a thicker brush to just do my blacks really quick. And this is a really fluid brush. It's really nice because it's fast, and I want to be able to have the feel of a traditional brush. You know, you want to be able to work with something that really helps your work and inspires you to use it all the time and have really good results. So I'm just going to do my blacks real quick and show you that once I start adding some of the black areas in my artwork, I can actually get in and continue with some of the pools that I have. So I'm just going to black out the areas that I know that are 100% black. You know, I usually go with a thinner brush, and I'll go in very carefully, just like I would with traditional tools, and I'll X mark, you know, the areas that would be black. But in this case, I'm going to switch to a thin brush, and I'm going to ink some of these areas, okay, just really quick. And I like to be able to use the undo function because, you know, I've inked in the comic book industry for several years, and it's really hard when you're making mistakes. You know, you got to use a whiteout, and or just be super careful or get used to it. Over the years, you really get used to throwing a lot of thin lines, long lines, and it's nice to have this function. Again, like I said, if you're working on a sketch or a digital product, it's really fun to be able to do undos. So I'm actually following some of these lines. I'm trying to add as much detail as I can. And as you can see, I'm adding secondary lines, really thin lines. And that's great. But if I press harder, I get a black line right next to it. And that's exactly what happens when you're inking. A lot of the traditional inkers will know that is part of the tools, the traditional tools, that when you dip them into the ink, it really depends how you use them, and they vary. All of these sort of settings, what happens naturally using traditional tools. As you can see, I'm adding like a couple more lines in here. I'm just going to kind of follow these thinner ones. I'm still using the same brush, you know, and I'm going to go in and add the highlight on his eye. And let's just do a couple more pulls in here, you know. The more you actually flick it, the more you let go, the thinner will be the end of the lines. So that's really the trick. You have to also get used to these brushes. Once you download them, it'll take you a while until you get used to using them. So I'm going to follow my lines in here. You know, I'm just really softly flicking here. Okay, and go into the opposite direction. I also like going into the opposite way and then come to a stop, which was a technique that I was using when I was a traditional inker. So I'll go in here. These are pulls sort of coming from the other side. And then again, this kind of goes into black, I think. And again, I just really enjoy doing this. You know, these are very cool brushes. They shortly will be available on the VFX Workshops store. If you go to vfxworkshops.com, just simply click on VFX Workshop Store. The link will be right on the website. And what you want to do, you want to be able to go in and download them. They're available to get as a digital download right away. And once they're available, there will be a Facebook post. So if you have not signed up or liked our Facebook page, I recommend that you like it. That'll actually keep you up with the current information on all the products that will be released and when they will be available. So I'm going to zoom out again, And you can see the inks are, if I actually put a white page, I'm just going to fill in the foreground with white. It looks very clean. The inks are really, really crisp. Especially the edges of these are very fine, and it looks really good for doing digital work on the computer. And then I also have other brushes that come with this that are just really cool fluid brushes. You know, here's actually another one that does really cool stuff. And the reason I like this brush is, you know, a lot of people use different kind of styles when they're inking. You know, I used to actually work a style of image comic books, but you know, there's a lot of people out there these days that do very, very, very different, cool styles. You know, they have stylized versions of comic books, or sometimes they want to simply do it just a bit rougher. So this is a brush that really, really gives you that fluid sort of look. So what I'm doing is, it's also set to the tilting of the pen. So if I zoom in for you to see that, it gives me somewhat of a texture. Okay, let me make it a little bigger. It gives me a cool little sort of texture. It kind of leaves it gray, which is really fun. And then I get in and get that dark black. So if I go in and just ink a little bit here, you know, it gives you that really slick look. What I usually like doing is just leave these in here. Okay, let me show you. Just go in there and leave some of these marks on the edges. It's almost like using an older Hunt 102. And once you dip it into ink, it just really becomes this really cool thick nib that just leaves all these organic marks. And that's what's really, really cool about inking. And I'm just going in, as you can see, just indicating lines, almost kind of filling them in with black. And now I'm going to switch back to my thinner ones. And what's going to happen is I'm going to have to, you know, pull some of these. But the nice thing is, of course, now that I'm in Photoshop, I can rotate these lines. And being able to rotate is going to give me the ability to just really work the lines into sort of that direction. And when I'm done, I can just double click and I'm back to the normal view. And that's what I really enjoy. So I'm going to zoom in here again and show you the thinner lines that I'm going to add in here. I'm actually at 3. Will be not as dark, but I can add these secondary cool lines just so I have a variety of look. So I'm flicking again. You know, I'm just doing a really quick demonstration. If I was inking a page, I would pay a lot more attention and take my time and try to make sure that my pulls are really clean, because that really consistent look makes the artwork fantastic. Anyways, hopefully this helps for you to get an idea what these brushes are like. And you can download them, instant downloads. They will be available in the VFX Workshops store, and you can give them a try. Feel free to contact me. I am hoping to hear from you guys and see how you like these brushes. So I'll see you guys on the next VFX Workshops video. Thank you.